Hello, my name is Maria Fernanda, and I'm the host of IO Scholarship Superheroes podcast.
Easy, easy, so easy.
This podcast is only a 10-minute podcast that highlights the best kept secret of IO scholars, job recruiters, and community influencers. And most importantly, we want to provide you financial resources to go to college debt-free and become financially savvy. Hello, I want to welcome to IO Scholarship Superhero podcast Aarna Sahu. She's a 15-year-old girl based in San California, whose passion lies in the cross intersection of STEM and education. She runs her own podcast channel called Arna's News, where she interviews brilliant female professionals to bridge the gender gap in STEM. Also, she's the president of her school Society of Women Engineers. The club is called Girls Can Code, which she teaches actually coding basics targeting young girls to pursue computer science courses and careers in STEM. On the side, she loves to take her 3-year-old multi-poodle on walks, and also she writes poetry and sings. So very impressive, this young lady. So welcome to our show, Arna.
Thank you so much for having me. I mean, I love what you're doing, and I'm so happy to talk to you.
Well, we are honored to have you in our show and tell us, because I'm very inspired by your story. And at such a young age, what inspired you to pursue a career in STEM?
I mean, I kind of have a funny story. I actually never wanted to get into STEM. Whenever my dad used to have, the days off where students can come visit his office, I used to go visit him. And I thought that his meetings were super boring, and seeing this kind of place just didn't really interest me. So I swore off STEM and just went and was interested in the business side of things. But then during the summer of one of my middle school years, during quarantine, I started the Hour of Code, and I was completely interested by JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. And during this time, I actually moved to a school where STEM was not that encouraged, and nobody really cared about education. And so I started interviewing a bunch of female professionals to kind of encourage my friends, my female friends, to pursue these fields. And that platform started to become Arna's News. So yeah, that's just how my interest in STEM kind of sparked.
And I'm sure that you went through a lot of challenges to pursue your education. A lot of women of colors are underrepresented in our industry. So I wonder if you can share with us some tips of how you overcame those challenges.
Yeah, so because I'm in high school and I'm a freshman, technically this is supposed to be the easiest year of your high school career, but for me it's kind of not, because balancing out my extracurriculars and education at the same time is quite overwhelming. So, just doing all these things like sports, academics, and, my podcast, I definitely use a planner and calendar. Being very organized with what you do really helps you overcome your struggles. And I highly recommend you to use a planner and calendar, because it can really take a load off of your shoulders. And speaking with my family members and friends can really help me vent out my emotions and pour my thoughts out, which has really helped me overcome these challenges of mine.
Visit IO Scholarships, as we have access to thousands of STEM scholarships based on your unique ethnic background, waiting for you today. Some of them only require 2.5 GPA and no essay. Remember, the more you apply, the more chances you have to win. Apply today. I was wondering, you have a very strong system. So, who are your mentors?
Yeah, so basically, if you don't know what mentors are for the audience who's listening, they're basically the people who you go through thick and thin with. These mentors are basically people who stand up for you and you kind of learn from them and get their advice on things that you probably wouldn't have asked anyone else. So, over here, my personal mentors are my family members, my dad, my mom, and my sister. Fun fact, whenever my dad hears a new podcast episode from like one of the big podcast channels or reads newspapers off of Wall Street Journal, because I don't really have the time in my day to like look through all these cool pieces of information, he kind of summarizes the things that he's learned and has really helped me understand, day-to-day news, and really helps me continue to learn things, because learning doesn't have to be educational every day. It can just be something interesting to keep your brain pumped. And my teachers, they're another big mentor. I learned so much from the people around me. And, those are just the people that kind of push me to want to learn and really help me stay updated with new opportunities.
Well, I heard a lot of really young students that, first of all, I think like curiosity, it's really, really an important element when you want to pursue these careers. And what I tell parents is that you don't need to be an engineer to pursue these careers. Encourage the kids. I take my daughter to museums and I buy her books called Baby Coding and so forth. So I wonder, I heard also very young girls that they love Legos, and Legos was like kind of the first step to increase their curiosity in building things and being creative and innovative. So I was wondering which gadgets or at an early stage, which toys did you were you interested in?
I mean, I'm a big puzzle person. When I was a kid, my mom, she would like go to the store and get one of those like mini 30-piece puzzles, and then she would kind of expand it on to like 100 pieces. But those kind of things that keep your brain engaged. And right now, I do Wordle. Wordle is basically this thing from New York Times where basically you try to guess 6-lettered words or something, or 5-letter words, I'm not too sure. But I do those almost every single day, and I play with my friends. And that really keeps your brain engaged. But also I used to go to a bunch of math prep places, so just doing math on the daily place, because that's just what you have to do in San José, California. But just keeping your brain engaged, that's basically my message here.
Yes, and it's very important that we also disseminate the message that it's very important also that you have extracurricular activities that you love. So tell me about your hobbies also, your extracurricular or your hobbies outside school.
Yeah, of course. I mean, in the introduction, I said that I do write some poetry, but whenever I do feel really overwhelmed, or I feel I have like a lot going on my plate, I kind of resort to writing out in a journal. I actually journal almost every single day before I go to bed, just to like keep things in memory, like what I did in the day. But if I really feel like there's something really strong inside of me, then I write poetry about it, and those poems kind of encompass what my emotions are throughout the day.
Wow. That is such an encouraging message that you are spreading to our community, and I believe it is so important early intervention, as evidence suggests that most girls' science aspirations are formed at a very young age, and actually they're solidified by age 14. So which is the most important advice you want to provide young girls who want to pursue this career?
Yeah, so I'm going to summarize 3 things that I have here. But the first thing is to build a trustable circle of friends wherever you are. There's a saying that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And that is true to an extent, because you spend a large portion of your time with your friends. So, think wisely with the friends you have and the circle you have. And also become the journalist and interviewer you are, to ask people who already are in the workforce, so you can understand what their advice is and the future you possibly see. And my third one is constantly learn. And although it might be something simple, just keep your brain engaged.
Well, thank you, Arna, for being part of the IO Scholarship Superhero podcast. And I was wondering if you want to share anything else with our listeners?
Of course, I have one more message, but I just want to let you know that enjoy and live life in the present. I mean, you might be worried in your future, but cherish the moments you have. Otherwise, nostalgia and regret will be your future best friend. But also, if you're really interested in STEM and female role models, definitely check out my podcast channel called Arna's News. And thank you so much, Maria, for being here on this podcast.
Thank you, Arna, for being part of our IU Scholarship Superhero podcast. And everyone listening, feel free to share, comment, and subscribe. And remember the power of the 3 I's for inspiration, innovation, and invention. IU Scholarships, see you for the next episode. And thank you again, Arna, for being part of our community.
Bye.
Bye.